Hello everybody and welcome. It's the beginning of a new month, which means it's time again to go over the games that I bought last month since the last video I did of this. Just a reminder, the purpose of this is a little bit for me, a little bit for everybody else. It's to go over the games I bought, sort of, give myself an idea, know what I bought and everything, and know that I know something about it. For that reason, I'm putting the list in the description of the video so that I don't have to constantly go back to the last video I did before it in case I forget when I got things as I'm preparing to do the next one. But if you're here to hear me talk about something, that's why the video is here. Anyway, first off, of course, I have my full N64 set, I have the EverDrive, I have everything that I need to buy for games and stuff like that, but things still come, not just guides. But controllers and stuff as well, and this is a new part of the collection. This is the Reality Quest glove controller for the N64. Yes, the N64 had a power glove, basically. It's by a company called Reality Quest. For a long time at work, we were under the impression that hearing the word Quest, this was supposed to be used with Quest. It has nothing to do with Quest necessarily. It's by a company called Reality Quest. So without putting it on, this is sort of the idea. You put it on your forearm like this, and then there's another strap for your thumb to go around the back of your hand like this. It has all the buttons, all the face buttons right here. So this is A and B. These are the C buttons. This is Z and L and R here. Z in the middle and start over on the side here. Up on the top there's a thing for the D-pad. And most uniquely, and the reason this controller basically doesn't work at all, is that you control the control stick by basically having a neutral position like this, moving your hand, your wrist left and right to move it left and right, and up and down for up and down. Because of that, this controller is basically more trouble than it's worth to actually use, because you have the extra struggle of keeping your hand in the neutral position before you go and do anything with it. But it's a cool piece to have. It has the controller pack thing right here. Cool little piece of history. Interesting addition to a Nintendo 64 collection for sure. And that's why I got it. So that's cool. Next up, basically the biggest thing about last month that I got. I actually bought a Vita. I got a Vita. I always liked the Vita. I always thought it was a good system, a well-made system. It's just a damn shame that, Sony pretty much abandoned it pretty quickly. So, every day that I fire this guy up, I kind of, learn a little bit more that I can do with it. The PS4 remote play, which unfortunately doesn't work that great for me here because of the way everything in my house is set up relative to my router. But hopefully in the future, that'll be a lot easier to use and a lot more convenient, because even when I'm in the same room as the PS4, watching, hockey's going on right now, so I'm watching hockey or something, and I'm like, well, why don't I fire up the PS4, get some remote play going on the screen here, but because of the PS4 itself and the system, the most convenient way to play it, the way that convenience comes into play, is a little bit far away from the router. I can't ever get a good connection without being, maybe upstairs next to the router, but then I would be away from the place I actually want to be when I'm playing it. So remote play doesn't work that great right now the way that my house is, but I have the Vita. It's the 1000 model. I've only held the 2000 model for a short amount of time. Overall, it's not that big of a difference to me. As a matter of fact, I like my PSP 1000. I like my systems, controllers and stuff like that to have a little bit of weight to them. So probably the 1000 was the better model anyway to go with. And of course, I've started picking up some games for it because time is running out on to how much time you have to go to retail stores and pick up physical games for it. I have one more game right now on the way that I'm really, really excited for, but for right now, I have 5 physical games for it. I have PS Plus, of course, which is huge. Hopefully, next month we'll get some bigger games, something a little bit more substantial. Last month, they're really small games on the Vita, or at least last month they were. This will be my second month having PS Plus with the Vita. The one game I had to get with my Vita was Hot Shots Golf, because I love Hot Shots Golf. If there's one game right now that I'm actually excited for on the PS4 and not on the Switch or not anything else, It's that they're putting out Everybody's Golf for the PS4, and I'm super excited about that. And it's only going to be $40. But this is a Hot Shots Golf. This is one of the cheapest games actually you can get on the Vita, and you know, just like all the Hot Shots games before, my favorite PSP game of all time was Hot Shots Open T2. It is the perfect portable game. You don't have to put a whole lot of thought or a lot of attention into it. You play at your own pace, and you just put hours and hours and hours into it. And every time you go and fire up your system, every time I used to go and, you know, want to fire up my PSP, if I was on vacation, I would take it on vacation sometimes, or take it out. Hot Shots Open T2 was always the one I would go with, because I would only ever have to play it for like 15 minutes and then decide if I wanted to play for another 15-minute chunk of time. It's super convenient. This game's great too. There's not a whole lot else to say about it. It's just, it's Hot Shots. It continues to be Hot Shots, and it's fantastic. I had to have it. The other game that I have played so far, I went all over looking for this with the artwork in it, because I'm not going to get into the habit of buying Vita games with no artwork. Killzone Mercenary. Now, Killzone, I haven't played Killzone 3. I played and beat Killzone 2. And I tried to play Killzone on the PS2, the first one. And the thing about the first Killzone, it's a lot different. It's a lot more... It's not as easy to pick up and play as the PS3 ones, when Sony decided to really take it as to their big shooter franchise. But I was never that impressed with Killzone. I always preferred Resistance, honestly, if I ever played a Sony-made first-person shooter. But I heard that this game was fantastic, and honestly, it is. It really is the best that you can make a first-person shooter on a handheld, which can be really tricky sometimes. It has a ceiling to it, unfortunately, but it hits right up against that ceiling, and it's the best first-person shooter experience that I think you're going to get on a handheld so far. Leading me to my next three, we'll just go with this one first because we're talking about first-person shooters, but this one's a lot cheaper than Killzone right now, and maybe it won't be as good, but this is Resistance Burning Skies. Like I said, I haven't played this one yet, so it might not be as good as Killzone, but I hope that the twin sticks on the Vita and everything will make it playable. I never played either Killzone or Resistance on the PSP, so I don't know how much of a step up those are from there, but if Killzone is any indication, the Vita is actually really good at handling a first-person shooter, so I have faith in them. And Lego Harry Potter Years 5 to 7, this is actually a lot cheaper on the Vita than it is on any other system. Unfortunately, it kind of removes the fact that you can drop in and play co-op with people, which is a huge thing for the Lego franchise, but honestly, the fact is that I just wanted a game that covers the last couple of Harry Potter chapters. And Lego Harry Potter 5 to 7 seemed to be the best way to do that, as opposed to the individual games, which, you know, get hard to find, especially with Deathly Hallows and stuff. But really early on, Harry Potter seemed to have better games than it does, you know, for the later iterations. This just seems to be the best way to go for those. And it's all one game. And then fifth game that I picked up for the Vita this month, this is Soul Sacrifice. The thing about the Vita is I'm the opposite of the Vita's target audience at this point. I bought a Vita, and I was like, well, about 75% of the games that are coming out for it, or that are out for it, I'm not interested in, because I'm not going to play any JRPGs. I'll play a couple, I would try a couple of RPGs, and this is one of them that I heard was really good. Soul Sacrifice Unique seems to be partly first-person perspective. Like I said, I haven't played it yet, so I heard this was good, and it's not like a strict JRPG sort of thing that's 80 hours long, has a ridiculous story, a bunch of weird characters that I have to get into. I'd rather play something a little bit more Western. This isn't necessarily that. I might pick up Dungeon Hunter Alliance, even though it's not supposed to be that great. But if I was going to play an RPG on the Vita, I would play something like this, not the typical games for it. But I have a Vita, really excited about it. I like it. I really like the system. Pretty soon I'll be done collecting for the Vita because I'll get everything that's on it for physical. But speaking of the Vita, I also have a couple of games that I got this month for the PSP. Both driving games, actually. So I have ModNation Racers for the PS3 and the PSP right now. Of course, there's a Vita one too. You know, people don't really talk about ModNation Racers that much. I played a little bit of it. It seems interesting. I got them for both the PS3 one and the PSP one for really cheap at this point, so I'm really glad I have them. I might get to them eventually, but they're kart racers. They're always the racers that I prefer, unless they're Burnout. And this is Burnout Dominator. I have Burnout Legends. I don't have it on the PSP. I haven't played it on the DS, which is what I have it for. I heard it's not that great, but I have Burnout Dominator, which is probably supposed to be the better one for the PSP. From what I've heard, it might not be true, but it looks like Burnout 3. If it looks like Burnout 3 and not necessarily like Burnout Revenge or Burnout Paradise, I'm totally into it. So hopefully this will give me the closest thing to Burnout 3 on the PSP. Keeping things handheld, I have one Switch game I picked up this month, Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. I was going out to look for Vita games. I just look at the Switch thing just to see if new like promo boxes show up. Because, you know, I'm always looking for the next game that's going to come out for the Switch. And there was a used copy of the first printing of Binding of Isaac. I thought I was going to actually wait a while on Binding of Isaac because I pretty much thought I'd missed the boat on this. And this was going to go up in price. And maybe the second printing, which is more common, would go down in price. And I would end up waiting. Found a used copy of this. I paid like $35 for it because I figured they're the cheapest I'd ever really get it for. And, you know, it's got all the stuff in it. Got the cover. Got the manual. And the card's in my Switch right now. Because it's fantastic. And it was my first experience playing Binding of Isaac. I think it's great. Finish up on the handheld stuff. I have one DS game I picked up. This is Puzzle Quest 2. Until I saw this in person in the case, I didn't know that Puzzle Quest 2 existed. I knew about the other Puzzle Quest, Galactrix, which has like the hex shape. Puzzle Quest, the first one, which is a great game. One of my favorite games that I'm absolutely god-awful at. I can never progress very far in Puzzle Quest, not because I'm not good at the Match 3 stuff, but because I'm not good at the multitasking. But there's a Puzzle Quest 2. I didn't even realize. I was like, you know what? I'm getting that. It's complete. I never see it. We're going to round out on some other PlayStation stuff. So let's get the other things out of the way. I only picked up one Xbox anything this month. No, I don't have an Xbox One, of course, because I don't want one. But the only thing I got for the 360 was Halo Anniversary. This was actually in a GameStop 4 for $20 thing that was going on. Usually when they do stuff like that, you assume it's going to be all garbage. But I was looking at the list, and one of the other games, actually a Wii U game that I'd wanted, was on there as like a $15 Wii U game, so I'll get to that. But I ended up getting 4 games for $20 that were between $10 and $15 games. So I don't know how much longer they're going to be doing it, but definitely check out that promotion if it's still going on for like the next 2 days, couple days maybe, I don't know. It might have ended in the end of May, so I'm not sure. But for all the thing that I don't like, I don't follow Call of Duty, I don't follow a lot of the big AAA games, I love Halo. And this was one that I never played. I have all the other ones on 360. Eventually I'll have an Xbox One and I'll play the 5th one and I'll get the Master Chief Collection and I'll have them all in the nice pretty HD, but I never tried this one. And I don't have Halo Wars, that's the only one. But yeah. So a couple Wii games here. Nothing great, nothing spectacular. But this one is important to note, because I got a new car 2 weeks ago, which might, you know, keep me from getting a lot of new games in such volume lately, but as a result, I got a Jeep Renegade, and I love it. I think it's, you know, it's great. I love driving it. As a result, I had to get Jeep Thrills, because I'm a Jeep guy now. That's just the thing that happens when you buy a Jeep. So I have Jeep Thrills. It's garbage. It's complete garbage. You can't play this game without the motion controls. It's on the PS2 as well, but we didn't have it, so I had to settle for a Wii copy. Let's get something good. Another copy now for Resident Evil 4. This is one of the only ones I hadn't owned before at some point before. So, I mean, it's going to be pretty much the same thing as the PS2 version. But, hey, why the hell not, you know? The only place I haven't owned, and I still don't own Resident Evil 4, is PS4, which I will at some point. It's one of my favorite games ever, so, you know, just get another version of it, no problem. Attack of the Movies 3D for the Wii. This game's garbage. But it's a shooter. I'm a sucker for the sort of like rail shooter type of things. It was cheap. I was just like, you know what, fuck it, yeah, I'm getting it. And this Totally Spies, Totally Party. I was in GameStop with Alexi, actually, and I saw this and I showed it to her, and I showed it to them, and it was like, I had to look on the back. It's like a weird Mario Party clone sort of thing. And I was like, do you want it? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, alright, I'm getting it. It's $3. It was $3. So, Totally Spies, Totally Party. I'd never seen it before, so what the hell. 2 more Wii U games. I'm still, you know, telling myself, oh, I don't need any more Wii U games except for this one and this one and this one and this one. Paper Mario. But here's 2 Wii U games. This is the game that made me do the 4 for $20 at GameStop a couple weeks ago. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. I'm not a huge Monster Hunter fan because I'm not a huge RPG fan, etc. But, you know, if this is a good version of it, I can play it on the Wii U, play it on the gamepad. I wanted it, and realistically I got it for pretty cheap, so had to have that. And then one of the very last things that's going to come out physical for the Wii U, not counting Cars 3, which is going to be worth money someday, you just know it. Darksiders Warmastered Edition. And it's funny because I didn't actually plan on getting this. It just came out a couple days ago. I just got it in the mail. And it was $20. It's $20 retail brand new, so it's, if you never played it, it's not a bad, you know, not a bad thing to pick up. This is really good games. I had Darksiders 2 on Wii U. I finally decided to try it because I played the first one before. I popped the second one in my Wii U, and what really got me was that they had approached the Wii U version of that game the right way, basically. Really good interface on the gamepad, really good integration, not trying to force things, but just making the simplest, best possible version of this game to work on the Wii U. And I said, you know what? If they do the same thing with this, I'm going to be super happy about it. So I threw down $16 from Amazon Prime for a game that I already had because I wanted to have it on the Wii U. I wasn't going to have to have it on the Wii U until I played the other one. So there's that. I got 2, do the PS1 ones first. They have a surprising amount of PS3 games. 2 PS1 games I got basically from my childhood. First of all, I got a disc only of this one because I had a weird thing about it. I wanted it so bad. This is Rugrats Search for Reptar because I feel like you can't necessarily read it. But Rugrats Search for Reptar, it's the Rugrats game that we didn't get on the N64 and we freaking should have because it's way, way better than like Scavenger Hunt, which was the exclusive to the N64. It's a weird like platformer thing. You do a bunch of different episodes of the TV show. I remember them. And it doesn't control great. It's kind of bad, but it's fun. The mini golf is great. It's a lot of fun to play. It's hella short. It's just a cool game that other people like me wanted. And so it's going for like $10 to $15. And I was like, I'm not paying that much for that game. So I bought a disc only for like $5. And I'm fine with it. I have the disc only. I don't like to have disc onlys of a game I specifically want, but I was not going to pay more than $10 for a Rugrats game. The other game is another game, like I said, from my childhood. I never owned this. I remember renting it. It was the Muppet Monster Adventure. It's another platformer. And the thing about it is, I love the Muppets. I didn't necessarily grow up with the Muppets because the Muppets were a 70s and 80s thing. But they've kind of hung on. And so, I think it's weird. It's not weird when people like video games that are older than them because you can get into them. Because they're interactive and because they have characters that you've come to learn from newer games. But the thing about the Muppets is, about TV shows, it's weird to like that many TV shows, especially kids' TV shows that are that much older than you, because the jokes don't land, and because the attitude of them is so different. But I love the Muppets. I love the Muppet Show. Probably because Alice Cooper's on there. And Vincent Price, those 2 episodes are great. And there's a halfway decent platformer with them on the PS1 that I remember. I probably rented this at least 2 or 3 times when I was a kid. Really liked it. And the thing was, I'd never seen a freaking copy of this thing as an adult. So I had to order this. I bid on it on eBay, and I got it for like $11, which is good because they could go between $15 to $30. And I got it, and it's complete, and it works, and it's good. I have the other Muppet game for the PS1. It's Muppet Race Mania, which is actually a really good kart racer. If you ever find that, definitely pick that one up. I also have Muppet Party Cruise for the GameCube, but I never played it. But yeah, Muppet games, I like them. I just like Muppets, so I like the Muppets, so I'll buy Muppet games. 2 PS2 games. This is a printed case. I got a disc only of. We got a disc only of R-Type Final because I wanted R-Type Final for a long time, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy this disc only because we never see it. I printed out this PAL case for it. It's PAL case. In the U.S., this was actually published by Fresh Games, I think. Fresh Games by Eidos, which they only put out like 5 games, but there's yellow all over the labels and stuff. You can tell them right away. But it's R-Type. Shoot 'em up. R-Type Final is supposed to be great. I always put this hand in hand with another game that I really want, which is Sophie the Lost Planet for PS2. But that one's by Working Designs, and again, never see that one, so might be a long time. And Splashdown. First Splashdown, I had the second one. Last month, I think, I picked up Carve for the Xbox. I don't know what it's about, jet ski games, but they're just like water racing games are more fun to me than like car racing games because they control differently and stuff. And Splashdown is kind of like, when we're not talking wave race, might as well be Splashdown because it's fun. It's weird. I don't remember the last time I got this many PS3 games. It's kind of weird actually because I don't play my PS3 very much right now because it's right next to my PS4 in the other room. I feel obligated to play the PS4, so I just have these PS3 games that I keep getting kind of to build the collection while they're cheap and stuff. Another game I got on that 4 for $20 was Mirror's Edge. Haven't played this. This was always kind of a $15 to $20 game. I heard the second one, not great, I don't know. But I like the concept. It's a first-person platformer about parkour and stuff. I hear people love it, so, finally able to give it a try because I wasn't going to drop $15 on it. The third Borderlands game, the pre-sequel, I've never beaten either of the Borderlands games, but, I like them a lot. They're Diablo with guns is really what they are, and I love Diablo out of all RPGs. So I got Borderlands pre-sequel, and I bought this specifically because I got it at Walmart sealed for $5. Walmart has some terrible clearance shit. I was looking for Vita games. Ended up with a PS3 game because it was $5 sealed. The Club, I'll be honest. I bought this because of Finn Balor. No, that's not true. It's a shooter. It's by Sega. It's Bizarre Creations, who made Project Gotham Racing, which I'm terrible at, but it was really, really cheap. It was dirt cheap, like $3. And I just like the idea of being able to say, yeah, I'm playing the club because of Bullet Club, Outlet Club, etc. Another shooter, Bureau XCOM Declassified. I wouldn't be able to play a real XCOM game, but hey, there's supposed to be an interesting story in there. There's an interesting aesthetic with it being like the 50s and 60s. And it's a shooter. It might be a squad-based shooter, so I might have trouble with it, but something to get me into the XCOM universe that everybody loves so much. Another game from a type of game that I never, ever, ever play, but Alexi likes to play them. So, if nothing else, this is really cheap if you can find it right now, considering what's in it. And you know what, this is probably going to be worth money someday, so it's kind of like getting it while it's cheap just to get it. Because the thing about Disgaea is, like, if you were into Disgaea, like Disgaea 5, I think just came out on the Switch, or it's coming out on the Switch, whatever, in the United States. If you're into Disgaea, you're going to go buy the games. You're not going to have to buy the games again. So it's weird that they came out with this. So this could, I don't Disgaea already doesn't sell that well because it's a niche game. Disgaea 3-pack probably doesn't sell that well. So you know what? While this is less than $20, if you're at all interested in it, I suggest going to get it because it's not going to be cheap forever. A game that I was waiting to be cheap because I heard it wasn't great. It's probably not that great, but WWE Legends of Wrestlemania. The thing about wrestling games with me is if it's not like, how do I put this? Like, if it's not like the current game that has like I have 2K16 and it was great, and it was great because there were older things about it, the showcase mode, everything. I like older games because they have people I like in them. This is sort of like taking people that I would know, but kind of glorifying people I don't necessarily like because there's a lot of the original WrestleManias, like the first 10 to 12 WrestleManias. The problem to me, the big glaring issue with me buying this game, there's no Mick Foley because he never got his WrestleMania moment. So, when you make a game that's based around specifically WrestleMania, big WrestleMania things that everyone remembers, you're not going to include the four-way match from WrestleMania 2000. And because of the aesthetic of this game, you're probably not going to include his match with Edge at WrestleMania 22. So there's no Mick Foley here, which is a big negative for me. But the game finally dropped to like $5 on the PS3, so I picked it up. And I'll play it at some point. It's supposed to not be that great. That's the main thing, though. NBA Jam for the PS3. I've been playing NBA Playgrounds. I wrote my review on it and everything like that. And I always felt a little bit weird about when I wrote my review because I hadn't really played very much of this. I played a tiny little bit of it, but this NBA Jam reboot, I hadn't played that much. I found it at a thrift store, so I didn't pay the $20 for an NBA Jam game that has nobody I know. But, yeah, just because it's NBA Jam. And finally, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. I paid $60 for this game when it came out originally, and it's one of those last couple games that I ever traded in or sold. And so I wanted to get it back, but I really, really didn't want to pay even $10 for it because it's just not worth it. Because I didn't want to end up paying like in the $70 range. 75 actually, yeah, because I bought it with taxes and stuff. I didn't want to end up total paying $75 for this game in my lifetime because there's like $30 worth of content on it. So this is the last game I got out of 4 for $20. So it was Mirror's Edge, Halo Anniversary, Monster Hunter 3 for the Wii U, and this game. So basically I got this for $5, which was what I was waiting for. Unfortunately, I can't play it I don't get the cross-buy for the Vita thing. I was looking it up. I don't get it because it expired, whatever happened. But, I have that game again. I have PlayStation All-Stars again. It is what it is. It's not great. So, yeah, that's it for this month. The Vita was the main attraction. Check in with me next month, see if I got anything else cool, interesting, noteworthy. Hear me talk about some games. Again, the list is going to be in the description of this video because I need to be able to check it so I don't repeat myself. But, yeah, that's it. I got a lot of PS3 games. It was so weird. It's a weird month. Peace out.